So I've been sort of lacking a sense of inspiration lately, so I have been doing what I normally do when I feel that way, diving headfirst into a bunch of documentaries. I've been doing a lot of thinking about these companies that fail or they're basically fraudulent. But the two companies that have fascinated me the most is this company known as WeWork and another one known as Theranos. And both these companies essentially did the same thing, which is they had a startup. They generated a lot of excitement around the idea of the future of their business. And so they raised a tremendous amount of capital. However, they lied about what they were actually doing, and they were able to get away with that because they didn't have public stock holdings. There was no IPO. But my takeaway from both of these is WeWork raised up to like $40 billion, and Theranos raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And they both raised money on nothing other than they just had very charismatic leaders, founders. I guess I just never realized how easily tricked people with lots and lots of money can be. You think that when you're dealing with a venture capitalist who deals in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in investment, that they are so willing to accept an idea from a charismatic salesperson and not request the numbers or the proof that this is actually a legitimate product or a successful product. You think that would be something that an amateur investor would fail to do. But yet these companies are dealing with unbelievable amounts of money, and they're kind of buying their own bullshit. They're hearing something that they really like the idea of and doing all the mental gymnastics that they can possibly do to justify giving money. And I think a lot of it is this incredible wave that we're seeing of startup companies where it's all about, we're celebrating get-rich-quick concepts because we've seen some examples of it. This story that is so popular in our zeitgeist, which is like he was 19 years old, started his company, and now he's worth $100 million because he sold it to Google or to change the world. And that's really like a get-rich-quick story, and it's great, and it's happened. But I think it's just not something that you can reproduce on purpose. There's so much happenstance, but yet we're so desperate to buy the idea that if you just work hard enough, you can make the impossible happen. And people do make the impossible happen. Unfortunately, they're just lying about it. Or at least that's one way that they think it can be done. It's like no matter how technologically advanced we get or how many experiences we go through as a species, we're all still vulnerable for falling for the same mistakes that people have been falling for since the beginning of time, really. And it's kind of cool to think about. I wonder what the next big scandal company is going to be. What's going to be the next? What's the exciting startup right now that is going to turn out to be fraudulent? Because I'm sure there's one or multiple. So if you want some recommendations on some good documentaries, I definitely recommend watching The Inventor, Out for Blood. That's the one about Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. And then the WeWork episode on the Generation Hustle docuseries. And obviously the two Fyre Festival documentaries, both on Hulu and Netflix. I recommend watching both because they both tell a different side of the story slightly. My back is really killing me, and it has for like 2 days.